Hello everyone, this is Geeta Sharma from Non-Native iELTS. I hope you all are doing well. Today I am here to talk about certain important aspects of iELTS. Now, because your iELTS is divided into 4 modules, number 1 is speaking, number 2 is listening, then it is reading, and then writing. For academic, let's talk about academic first. In academic iELTS, generally, you have to appear for LRW, that is number 2, number 3, number 4, in the same day, on the same day, whereas speaking generally happens 7 days prior or 7 days afterwards your LRW, that is listening, reading, and writing. This is same for general training students who are appearing for permanent residency to their specified country, wherever they want to actually move to. Okay, because I was talking about academic, let's talk about it in a bit detail. What are you supposed to do? We'll be talking about that today. First of all, in listening, what you should do. Now, do's are number 1, make sure you are listening to certain accents every day for at least 30 to 35 minutes. Now, it sounds really difficult. It might sound difficult for you, but I would say it is really good if you start listening to interviews, podcasts. There are TED Talks, my personal favorite. And even if you are into that showbiz thing, if you love entertainment, you can also watch like on a Hotstar, Coffee with Karan. That's also my favorite. I like to watch that. And that is kind of a routine. Like if I am not busy, I prefer watching that. If possible, try not to watch a lot of regional shows, those Sasbahu shows that people generally watch, and the drama and all that. If you want to watch them, try to change the language of them, if possible. Okay. Number 2, in listening, you are supposed to transfer your answers and you'd be getting 10 minutes for that. So it is good, instead of like thinking a lot about the answer, you can just write down on the sheet that is provided to you the answer that you have heard, that you might have heard, and in those 10 minutes at last, you can rethink about them, right? But try not to write in running hands. Make sure you are writing in capital letters whenever you are transferring your answers. Okay, let's move towards your reading. Now, this is my favorite module because thank goodness, because of the hard work that I did, I scored a 9 in my last examination of reading. I appeared for GT, that is general training for PR purpose. Okay, so in that examination, what I did, I have talked about it in a separate video. I would be providing the link over here, right? And make sure you click on it if you want to watch it. Okay, let's talk about what you're supposed to do in reading. If I talk about academic, remember there are certain vocabulary words that you need to be equipped with. Now, what you are supposed to do, you should know certain synonyms of these, right? You should know how to use these in sentences. You should know how to pronounce these. And last but not the least, you should know the verb form also. Yes, because each and every word, most of the words can be changed in different ways according to the sentences. So you should know all these that I have provided you. Okay, I have made a separate video on words related to reading vocabulary. So you can watch it. I will provide the link in the description box as well. Let's talk about reading in a bit detail. Remember, there are 3 passages in academics that you'd be provided to solve. And in those 3 passages, there is no, believe me, they are not forcing you to start with the first passage first and then second and then go for the third. So it is okay if you want to shuffle. I mean to say, if you want to start with the second passage, that is okay with them. If you want to start with the third passage, that is okay with them totally. So it is good if you just check it out, do guesswork, check which passage topic you are equipped with, because that is going to be the easiest for you. If your teachers, your trainers are telling you that, okay, you should start with the first passage first, they are trying to fool you. Don't do that, because the topics that are generally given in academic are academic related topics. For example, they might ask you things related to science, theories. They might ask you about writer's opinion. They might talk about facts that I have already talked about, science. Plus, they might give certain etymological or archaeological information, that is history, right? I know some of the students don't like history, but there are certain passages on which generally the information that is a bit difficult is also mentioned. Let me give you an example of linguistics. They also talk about linguistics most of the times. So what you're supposed to do, make sure you are equipped with the words, the vocabulary, the meaning, how they can be used in a sentence, because like all the languages, English is also a unique and a beautiful language, and you should know which word means what. Okay, let's move towards our next module. That is, I would say, we are done with listening, reading. Let's talk about writing now. Now, writing is divided into two different parts. Number one is task one, number two is task two. Number one, task one in academic, it is graph. There are around 9 to 10 graphs, and there are subtypes also. I have made a separate video on introduction of task one. You can watch it here. I will be providing you the link in the description box. Please make sure that you are equipped with the sentence structures, the range of vocabulary that you can use. You cannot use informal language in writing. So it is good for both task one and task two if you just use formal language, right? I have provided certain lessons of task one on my YouTube channel. There are certain videos which are private because that is only for my masterclass students. If you want to join it, you can obviously contact me. Okay, let's move towards our task two. In task two, what you're supposed to do, you are provided an essay, a topic on an essay, and there is a type. There are around 3 main types. I have made a separate video on that as well, but that is not public, right? If you want to get the link of it, please ask for it. I would surely provide it to you. It's kind of a demo. Now, in writing, for writing, I have made different videos that are public as well. I would be providing the link in the description box. If you want to watch it, you can do that. Let's talk about the essays. See, number one, there are opinion-based essays. Opinion-based essays can be categorized like this: agree, disagree, and positive, negative. Without opinion essays are generally discussion essays, that is discuss both views and advantage and disadvantage. And then there are two-part questions. Two-part question is again divided into two different parts: problem solution, cause effect, and obviously direct question. Now, if you remember, I had talked about an without opinion essay, that is disadvantage, advantage, and discuss both views. Now, these questions can be asked with opinion, but they'll be mentioning discuss both views and give your opinion. And the second part, that is advantage, disadvantage, they might be asked like this: what is your opinion? What do you think? Do you think there are advantages or disadvantages? And even they might use the word outweigh, outstrip, overweigh, right? Please listen to it carefully. I'm trying to add in a more detail what are these four modules and how you should go about it. Okay, we are done with writing now. Let's move towards your last but the most beautiful module, speaking. Now, speaking is divided into three parts. Number one is introduction, number two is cue card, and number three is follow up. Now, if I talk about first part, that is introduction. In introduction, you're generally asked 11 questions, 11 to 15, I would say. Now, the length of the questions will actually determine how many questions you'll be asked by the examiner. What do I mean to say? If your answers would be lengthy, you'll be asked lesser questions. Why? Because they are having a stipulated time limit. They cannot ask you like more than 14 to 15 minutes. The whole interview consists of 14 to 15 minutes. So they cannot ask you a lot of questions out of the limit that is provided to them. So a startup would be, please speak or answer in a lengthy way. Speak lengthy sentences, speak in detail. If your trainer is telling you that in introduction you cannot like explain, he or she is fooling you. Don't do that. Don't listen to them. Do cross check, obviously. I scored an 8 when I gave lengthy answers in my last test. So it is good if you explain things, if you are giving opinionated answers, and if you are adding examples into it. And the same rule applies to your cue card and follow up. You should give lengthy answers. Make sure you are expressing yourself naturally. You are fluent. You can check my pace. I'm quite slow in the way I speak. I talk in Punjabi and Hindi also in the same way, and even in Bangla or Bengali. So generally, when you are talking, your pace should be natural, whatever is God gifted. You should not just follow people blindly if they are telling you that you should have an English accent. Don't do that. Please don't do that. They are trying to fool you. Don't do that. Let's talk about GT now, general training. Now, general training, you are supposed to follow certain preparation methods that are a bit different from academic. Now, remember, if I'd like to talk about listening and speaking, first of all. In listening and speaking, generally, these two modules are same. Yes, these are same, but in listening, obviously you can expect a bit of disturbance because your examination is always, it always falls with the academic students, right? So you can expect disturbance because there'll be crowd. Obviously, due to COVID, each and every centers, even in India, they have made sure that there is a distance, specific distance maintained within the rows of the students, right? But still, there are more number of students when GT and academic test actually takes place on the same day as compared to only academic. And unfortunately, because GT slots are lesser than academic, so they have to sit for like with academic students. And this is a rumor that you'll have difficult tests, no, but you might face restrictions. And because you were not in touch with your studies, or you have done post-graduation most of the times, right? Those people who have done post-graduation, they sit for GT examination. So you might be really skeptical about it, but don't worry, I have been through it. I know it's quite difficult because managing your house and your studies becomes really juggling. You have to balance it, but that is okay. Make sure that you are taking out time for yourself and for your future, right? Okay, let's talk about the other two modules. I would like to talk about writing first of all. Task 1 consists of letter. Letter has basically formal, informal, and semi-formal patterns. There are 3 types of letters basically, but there are subtypes also. Subtypes in the sense, there are certain headings which generally fall into these 3 categories, okay? I am not going to tell you it in detail. If you want to take my GT course, you can obviously ask for it. Please mention the comment box below. I would like to answer it for sure. Okay, let's move towards your task 2, essay. Now, There is a misconception that people, those who are not experienced trainers, they generally say that essay for academic and GT is same. That's wrong. The topics differ considerably because obviously, see, Cambridge is trying to frame a paper that should be obviously according to the skill level of students, right? That should match up to the skill level of the students. So do you expect them to give you the same paper for academic and GT student? No, the topics differ considerably. You might have seen I generally post recent exam questions on my Instagram handle with the same name, non-native iELTS. You can check them out. They are totally different. The base word can be same. For example, they might be talking about children, but the questions differ considerably. You should prepare it accordingly, remember. And there are certain criteria because GT students, they require more band score as compared to academic students. They are supposed to score 8,777. That is 8 in listening and 777 in the rest of the 3 modules. They are supposed to give their 100% more than the academic students, because like God forbid, basically academic students just need overall 6.5, most of them, or 7. And there are such students, I have certain students who want to score 7 each, and they are appearing for academic. So it differs according to the university or college you want to obviously enroll into. Okay, we are done with writing. We are done with basically listening. I guess reading is left for GT. For GT, that is general training examination. Please remember, reading is not divided into 3 passages. You are having 5 passages. First 4 are really easy, but tricky. Now, when I have used the word but, that means they are difficult, right? They are difficult in the sense you might, number 1, have to change the grammatical, you can say formation of the word that you have gotten. For example, let me give you an example. If your answer is communication, but in the passage it is written communicate, according to the question, you have to change the meaning. This does not happen in terms of academic. This has to happen in terms of GT, because obviously they are expecting you to be mature as compared to the academic students. Okay, next thing. In reading, you might feel a bit difficult just because the last passage is the lengthiest one as compared to the first 4. First 4 are generally on general information, as general training, the term actually suggests. They are on advertisements, or they might be on certain interviews, right? They are framed like that only, but they are quite difficult in the sense they might be a tabloid. They are generally taken from certain newspapers. I would like to suggest you a newspaper that from where they are actually taking the content of both academic and GT. That is Guardian, Guardian. You can download it from Play Store or obviously Apple Store, whatever is convenient to you. Please do that, because the content that they are giving in the examination is the same as the newspaper. I have checked it most of the times. I am having that in my phone also. Okay, on my phone also. Good. Okay, let's move. I was talking about reading. What you're supposed to do in reading if you are a GT student, make sure don't try to solve more than one reading on the same day. Try to solve the same reading twice. Yes, you heard me right. You need to solve the same reading twice, because that is going to help you a lot. If in any way you fail to do that, right? If in any way you fail to do the same reading twice, make sure don't over pressurize yourself. Overburdening yourself is not always a good idea. It is always good to just stick with one reading on the same day. If you are going to overdo, you will not understand a single thing. So it is good if you are just trying to solve only one reading per day, right? If you don't want to do that as well, try to start with the shortest passage It's kind of a paragraph only and containing 3 to 5 questions, 6 questions, 10 questions. There are not 10 questions in the first passage basically, but it depends on the pattern that they have followed. Okay, let's move. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you all for your support. I am receiving messages from students that they are liking my videos. Thank you so much for supporting me. And if you like my channel, please do give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to it. Please give a thumbs up to my video and subscribe to my channel. If you have any queries related to iELTS, you can ask me in the comment box below. I would love to answer you all. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.